This is Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present. I'm Chip Kurt.
And I'm Roland Pulis.
And today our topic is WWF One Night Only. Took place in 1997. It was a UK only pay-per-view.
Yeah, 23 years ago tomorrow.
Yes.
Is the anniversary for the show. We kind of mentioned last week that it's one of those shows that we've never really seen. We've probably seen, clips from, and it held true. It was definitely a first-time watch for me.
Yeah, definitely for me as well.
And it was a pretty good show, all things considered. We were right, I think, in the crowd was pretty animated throughout the night.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when the Bulldog came out at the end there. They definitely had a good vibe for the show, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. The UK fans are definitely a little rambunctious, and that certainly played out here in this show. But yeah, like you said, I thought overall it was a great show. There's 8 matches that we're going to break down for you. Let's get right into it. First match was Triple H. He wasn't Triple H back then. He was Hunter Hearst Helmsley with Chyna getting a win over Dude Love in about 13 minutes. Hunter Hearst Helmsley is still kind of doing the Connecticut kind of blue blood gimmick. Towards the end of the show, which we'll get into, you can kind of see the formation of DX a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's still kind of the Connecticut blue blood gimmick here. Chyna's his bodyguard. But I thought overall it was a solid opener match. They're playing up Dude Love as the three faces of Foley here. But I thought it was a good way to open the show.
Yeah, I feel like if you send Dude Love out first, Mankind should have wrestled later in the show.
Yeah.
You may as well get your money's worth for a guy that, wrestled as 3 people for his career. But, Triple H was, again, not Triple H per se yet. I think that Mankind, Dude Love, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, and Paul Levesque have great matches.
Yeah.
Have very good chemistry together. Over the years, they've had some good matches. Similar to Cactus and Mick Foley with Randy Orton. Some of their matches were really good in the same kind of way. They were just stylistically, I think, they had similar matches. But they matched up well. They've always had good matches. And it was a good way to start the show off. I think that, Triple H was getting good heat from the crowd.
Yeah.
They definitely were behind Foley. Dude Love.
McFlurry,
exactly. Yeah. McFlurry, and anybody that listens to us knows that inside thing. But it was definitely a good way to open the show, and they gave him plenty of time. It was the longest match besides the last 2, really. I mean, you had the tag team match was a little bit longer, but I mean, it didn't feel like it. It kind of felt somewhat quick, but it was definitely plenty of time, and it's a good way to start the show.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, though, is if this is a definition of a let me up match, I think
this is the typical heat match that no one cares to see. But
this is kind of, you would think would be like the dark match if there was a dark match on the show. You have Tiger Ali Singh with his father Tiger Jeet Singh getting a win over Leif Cassidy. You may know him as Al Snow.
Yeah.
This match only went 4 minutes long. Leif Cassidy was pretty much in control this whole way, but Tiger Ali Singh mounted some offense at the end there and got the win. Tiger Ali Singh is the face, which I always kind of pictured him as being a heel kind of character.
Yeah, but he was 100% face.
He was 100% face here.
And they billed him from Canada.
They did.
Which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he probably is, but like it's weird to see a character named Tiger Ali Singh from Canada.
From Canada, yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. And I mean, Al Snow is your typical... good hand. Again, to quote JR, he used it a lot on his show. He was a solid hand. Definitely wasn't a fan of the whole Leif Cassidy gimmick.
No.
What were they, the New Midnight Express or something?
New Rockers.
With
Marty Jannetty.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. It was Bob Holly and Bart Gunn that were the...
they were the New Midnight Express, yeah.
So, definitely not a big fan of the whole Leif Cassidy thing. Definitely liked Al Snow better when he had head.
Yep.
And the Job Squad and stuff like that. And he actually owns OVW right now.
Yes, he does.
Snow, so still training people. And I think Al Snow might be one of the more overlooked names for his contributions and his ability in the ring, maybe of all time.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's trained a lot of guys. He doesn't get the credit for just how good of a performer he was. I mean, he wasn't a huge star by any means.
And it wasn't like he didn't have a look they could have marketed either. So I don't know what. No. I don't know if he rubbed somebody wrong. I don't know if it could have just been Vince being Vince and not seeing anything in him per se. But it's not like he's a real small guy. He's not a huge guy. But I mean, he definitely had plenty. If he's training people now, clearly he was a good wrestler.
Yeah. And he got a mannequin over, so...
Yeah, that's true. I got a mannequin head. Not even the full mannequin, just a mannequin head.
Just mannequin head.
So, yeah, again, it was definitely a let-me-up match, and it's, like I said, still not a fan of the whole Leaf Cassidy thing. I'm not really a fan of the Tiger Alley. The Tiger Alley Singh thing didn't really go anywhere either.
No.
I guess they were hoping it would, and it just... that kind of fizzled out, too, so...
No.
But it was funny that... Jerry the King Lawler said something about he had to bring his dad to the ring with him.
Yeah.
to get fans or whatever, to get over more or less. So that was kind of interesting in that. I like the commentary. It was Vince and JR and Jerry Lawler. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So next up was a tag team match for the WWF Tag Team Championships. You have the Headbangers, Mosh and Strasser, getting a win over Los Boricuas, Miguel Perez Jr. and Savio Vega. About 13 and a half minutes here. Again, another solid match. I wasn't really familiar with Los Boricuas' work. I know Savio Vega, obviously, but I was kind of impressed with their tag team. They played the classic heel tag team. Mosh and Trasher, probably not the greatest technical wrestlers in the world, but they're definitely entertaining. They got their kind of grunge, kind of rocker gimmick over. Their Marilyn Manson kind of style.
Kind of looked a lot like Raven.
A little bit, yeah.
Raven used to wear that shirt as almost like a skirt, and they actually wore like skirts.
Yeah,
so, a lot of similar looks, like you said. That grunge, dark punk rock kind of theme was their thing, like you said. So,
but overall, I thought this was a solid match. Mosh and Trasher will retain the titles. They had just won them, I think, not too long ago before this.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a pretty solid match.
And there was one spot in the match towards the end where Miguel Perez almost paralyzed one of the headbangers. Did you catch that? Like, they went for like a power bomb.
Yeah.
And he like almost fell over with him, but somehow was able to save him. Because even the headbanger, whichever one it was, I want to say it might have been Thrasher, but I don't remember. He like held his feet up and like tried to. It was an interesting spot. He got lucky, and it was right towards the end because after he power bombed him, he kind of rolled through it, and then they hit that splash, and then that was pretty much it. But towards the end there, that was the sloppiest part of the match, and like you said, it was actually a relatively solid match.
Yeah, I agree.
And like you said, not Mosh and Thrasher are not technical wrestlers per se.
No,
but it wasn't a bad match.
No.
Definitely not as the barn burner that Leaf Cassidy and Tiger Alley Singh was, but we'll leave that there.
We digress.
Yeah, as we digress.
Next up, we return to singles action. You have the Patriot getting a win over Flash Funk in 8:47. Again, this kind of just filler for me. I mean, it was decent. It was a decent filler match, but not a whole lot there to really get into.
Yeah, the Patriot, Del Wilkes, Flash Funk, Too Cold Scorpio. It was a solid match. It really didn't have any backstory to it. It was just kind of there to be there.
Mm-hmm.
At least every match you kind of tell what they were trying to do. Like the Dude Love match with Triple H was kind of they've had a grudge going before. The Tiger Alley Singh thing was obviously designed to try to get him over. The tag team championship match, and then you just have this match kind of thrown into the middle that just didn't really have a whole lot of backstory. Yeah. So the fans weren't really. Plus, Del Wilkes, the Patriot, came out with the American flag.
Yeah.
In the UK, so that didn't go over very well.
No.
It's like a fart in church. So they weren't really high on that. But it was a solid match. They're both two good performers.
The thing that I just took from this match was just the entrance music that the Patriot came out to.
Yeah. Kurt Angle's "You Suck" theme.
Yep.
So I guess apparently I would have overlooked that too. That at some point clearly that was not Kurt Angle's music.
They've used that before too. I think in a Survivor Series match, or they used it for Mark Henry. I think at one point.
I think you're right. Actually,
they've used that song a lot. But obviously, we all know that it's synonymous now with Kurt Angle and the "You Suck" chants.
Yeah. Which it was cool when Kurt came back. He actually kind of embraced it.
Yeah.
Finally, I think he kind of grew up a little bit in the business enough to realize that it was over. So why not just go with it?
Mm-hmm.
So it probably pissed him off at first. When he was younger, when he first probably got under his skin a little bit. But yeah, to see him actually like pointing with it and asking fans to chant "You Suck," it's kind of funny to see.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, two solid performers. Like I said, Flash Funk, Too Cold Scorpio. I think him coming to WWF at the time to be Flash Funk, obviously he took it to come to the WWF, but I think it was not good for his career. I think the WWF had plans for him, and it just didn't pan out. Because he was a hell of a performer before that. Not that he wasn't here, I just think that he just never really got over as Flash Funk.
Yeah.
So, I think it was just, box of gimmicks, have him come over and dance, and it was Brodus Clay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Essentially, the same kind of, dance, and
yeah.
It never really connected with the fans.
No.
The Patriot gimmick kind of did, depending on where he was. Clearly not here, because the UK fans didn't really care about it.
This was kind of in the middle of his push, too. He just before this, he had a world title match against Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Not too long. So this was kind of the peak of the Patriot right here.
Yep, exactly.
All right, our next match was a tag team match. You had the Legion of Doom, also known as the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk, getting a win over the Godwins, Henry O. Godwin and Phineas I. Godwin, as we mentioned, Hog and Pig.
That's a catchy one.
This match went about 10 minutes and 42 seconds. I think it was a decent match. It was all right. It wasn't one of the better matches, I don't think.
But... No, they were playing up that the Legion of Doom broke Henry's neck previously, I guess, with the Doomsday device. So clearly Phineas took it this time.
Yeah.
And did like a good flip and landed safely, thankfully. But that's one of the things that you ask anybody that's been in the business, if you take that Doomsday device once, you're done. You're not taking it again.
Yeah.
Because they, for whatever reason, they had a reputation of not making sure that people would land properly.
Properly, yeah.
Because it looked good.
Yeah.
But if you weren't ready to flip and you fell on your friggin' head, I mean, you'd be like draws.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a scary move to look back on some of the bumps that people have taken off of, you're 6 feet in the air coming down on your head. So, it was nice to see that nobody got hurt, obviously. It's a fun thing for the fans to see. But, I mean, the Legion of Doom, that's what they were. They were, 100 miles an hour at you. That was their thing. Similar to, like, the Ultimate Warrior. Same thing, 100 miles an hour at you. And, Honky Tonk Man took that press slam from Warrior when he won the Intercontinental Championship, and he said he'll never do that again.
Yeah.
Because it hurts, So they played up that Henry got hurt and previously, so that was kind of, again, every match except for the last match had something going on.
Yeah.
At least they had some backstory, like the Flash Funk thing. Maybe if there had been some backstory there, the match would have been a little bit better. But like you said, this match was kind of just there, but at least there was some story behind it. And really, the four guys in the ring are all relatively solid hands. They're not, at this point, Animal Hawk towards the tail end of their career. I mean, they went on a little bit further, but I mean, they were pretty much done. And the Godwins had just kind of started, had a little bit of traction, and, Phineas went on to be Midian.
Yes.
I'm not sure what happened to Henry, honestly.
No, I'm not sure either.
But they were kind of like the second coming of... what's his name?
Hillbilly Jim.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I was drawing a blank there, but that's kind of like what they were trying to play off.
Yeah.
Of. So, the gimmick was the gimmick. It was what it was. Might have been stupid, calling him Hog and Pig per se, but it wasn't a terrible match. Like I said, so far there really hasn't been anything that's been terrible.
No.
With maybe the exception of the second match, the Leaf Cassidy thing was just kind of stupid.
Yeah,
too bad they didn't.
It was kind of
too bad they
definitely
didn't give Leaf Cassidy something better to do, because even Tiger Ali Singh didn't even look good in the. And again, we're going backwards, but in that match, they just didn't click, and I don't know if it's because he was green, because some of the stuff he did, he just didn't look good doing.
No, and they didn't really give him much offense until the very end of that match.
Right, but even the bumps he took, he didn't take them great. So maybe it was just because he was green, or maybe that's why he didn't last long. I don't know.
Next up, we have a match between Vader and Owen Hart. Vader's going to get the win here in about a little over 12 minutes. Vader pretty much was dominant throughout this whole thing. Owen got a few offensive moves in it. Owen Hart goes for a move off the top rope at the end. Vader turns it into a power slam, and that's your finish. Again, I thought it was decent. I mean, I thought they definitely made Vader look really good here in the match. And Owen just took a lot of punishment here. They didn't really showcase Owen a whole lot here. But I thought overall, for what it was, I was kind of entertained by this one.
Well, and you forget how good Owen Hart is until you see an Owen Hart match.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good... He took a beating in that match and really put Vader over pretty much the whole match. Like you said, it was a lot of Vader. And it's notable that this was supposed to be Ken Shamrock and Owen Hart.
Okay.
Ken Shamrock got hurt the night before.
Yep.
Internal injuries, so Vader actually took his place. So for them to kind of throw the match together on 1 day notice and do what they had to do, it was pretty good. It wasn't bad. We had talked last week that I thought maybe this was when Vader was a face, but I couldn't. I think it was essentially 2 heels, really, other than the fact that Owen, being a Canadian and being a Hart, kind of was over in the UK. So it was more or less just 2 heels kind of fighting each other, which was kind of like the Flash Funk match, 2 faces fighting each other.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have split them up. Maybe you should let the Patriot face Owen Hart, and then maybe Flash Funk and Vader could have been a better match. I don't know. But it definitely, for what they had handed to him and Shamrock being injured, putting Vader in there, and Shamrock had an interview on the show where he said that, if it was up to him, he'd be out there.
He'd be fighting.
Yeah, so clearly he was not cleared. I don't think that was kayfabe. It could have been. I don't know. But for them to throw it together, and they had, like you said, Vader was put over heavily by Owen.
Yeah.
Owen did a great job. And Vader, again, one of the most athletic big men to ever be in the business.
Absolutely.
Some of the stuff he could do was insane.
The moonsault he could do,
Yep.
and the Vader bomb, everything like
Yeah,
that.
him, Bam Bam Bigelow, same kind of mold of a big, And actually, at one point in the match, Owen Hart actually press slammed him.
He did,
Which was impressive. They said that there was about a 200-pound difference between them, so that's pretty impressive for Owen Hart to get him up. So, and like you said, it wasn't a bad match.
No. Next up is the singles match for the World Heavyweight Championship. You have Bret Hart going against the Undertaker. Plenty of time here, just under 29 minutes. Bret Hart's going to get the win by disqualification. I really liked everything about this match except for the finish.
Yeah,
the finish, it was a disqualification, but it was weird. Bret Hart got his neck caught up in the ropes, and the referee called the match off.
Yeah, because the Undertaker kept punching him.
The Undertaker kept punching him and everything, so the Undertaker got disqualified. I really thought the finish kind of ruined a great match here. It was so much back and forth action between the two. They really put on a clinic of a performance, and the finish just kind of spoiled it for me.
Well, and I guess they didn't want... it was for the title, so I guess they didn't want to beat the Undertaker per se.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a way to get Bret the win, but not have to beat him. But yeah, no, it was definitely a piss poor finish. This match went very long, but it didn't feel very long.
Yeah.
It was paced well. It wasn't, 5 minutes of bang, 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 and then 20 minutes of slow. It was paced well. And like you said, it's too bad that the finish wasn't better.
Yeah.
Because it was definitely the best match, I think, on the card. And I'm only saying that because even the main event was still a good match, and we'll get there in a minute. But I think the Gaga in the main event, again, I don't want to spoil everything, but I think the Gaga took away from it and actually made the Bret Hart Undertaker match be the best match, I think, on the card.
I would have to agree with that, definitely.
And not to take anything away from Shawn Michaels, again, I'm a big fan, and then the Bulldog. Bulldog actually held his own pretty well in that match. Again, we're not there yet, but I think that, if you're going to pick one, if you have a half hour to kill at some point, fire it up and watch the Bret Hart Undertaker match.
Yeah, it was great.
It's like I said, too bad for the finish. The finish kind of ruined what was a classic match, and really for 2 very different styles too. But you couldn't tell they were together through the match. It wasn't a styles clash at all. They had a great match.
Absolutely. And just to give you guys a time frame, this is right before the Montreal Screwjob is going to happen.
The Screwjob would happen, what?
2 months later?
Yeah.
This
November.
was in September. This is November. So
yeah.
About 2 months later, the Screwjob is going to happen between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. So that's kind of just interesting to go back in time to put this into context.
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yep. Yeah, that's, you got to remember, too, at this point, this is after Bret had already kind of confronted Vince, and at commentary that one time before, about making him look like a fool and all that stuff. And some of that was kayfabe, but some of that they just kind of let him go.
Yeah.
And so you got to wonder where they were, Vince and Bret. They might not have been to the point where he felt like he had to screw him yet, but the backstory on that is that Vince gave him a 10-year contract and then came back and told him he couldn't honor it.
Yeah.
So he kind of screwed Bret in that, because when he signed that contract, he was already talking to WCW. So, you wonder what would have been different, A, if Bret never went, and B, if he had went sooner, before he signed that 10-year deal that then Vince said, listen, we can't afford to pay you.
Yeah.
And then Vince, has the narrative, and Bruce sticks up for Vince all the time, saying that the narrative was, well, Bret, he wanted to get Bret the best deal he could. if you really think it in hindsight, he kind of screwed him. Not on purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying at Survivor Series, but I think contract-wise and energy-wise, he would, if he had just contract expired and Vince let him go, think of the impact Bret could have made, a couple months prior to signing that contract versus coming over when he did, and then, the whole Goldberg thing happened. It kind of ended his career.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
The kick to the face caused.
And who knows if that would have been matched up at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It changes everything.
Yeah. All right, so we get to our main event. It's a singles match for the European Championship. Obviously, being in the UK, they're going to close with the European title. Shawn Michaels is going to get the win over the British Bulldog in about 23 minutes. Not a clean finish by any sort of the imagination. Like you mentioned earlier, there's so much gaga going on with Chyna, Triple H, or Hunter Hearst Helmsley at this point, and Rick Rude. I mean, so much outside interference. Again, it kind of takes away from the match.
Yeah.
I get why they did it. I mean, they definitely built up heat with Shawn Michaels and the Hart family, because they kind of, after the match was over, they went to British Bulldog's wife.
And did they... Here's the thing, though. If you're going to book it that way, why wasn't Bret and Owen with Davey Boy?
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I got away from this, too, is that Rude comes out, and then 5 minutes later, Chyna and Triple H come out.
Yep.
Where are Bret and Owen?
That's true.
Like, they end up coming out at the end. After when they were going to attack, Bulldog, and they attacked him further and ripped his knee brace off and threw it at Bret's sister and Davey Boy's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that weird thing between Shawn and her, supposedly. It didn't happen, but they played it up like she tried to sleep with him or whatever. So, I mean, there was heat there, but, like, where was Bret and Owen when that happened?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that's the only thing. As soon as Chyna and Triple H came out, Bret and Owen should have came out.
Yeah.
Then it would have made a little more sense. And then if you're going to have Gaga, at least it's even. But it was all 100% Shawn Michaels Gaga. It was everything to help him.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a spot at the end of the match where Davey Boy was carrying either Triple H or Shawn. I don't know I can't remember which one he had up. And he slipped down through by the platform between the guardrail. And all three of them are just banging the crap out of his knee. And the referee is being distracted by Chyna or Rude. Well, one of them was distracted. Yeah. And it's like it didn't make any sense, because at that point, obviously Owen and Bret come out later. You mean to tell me they didn't see this happen?
I know.
Like, again, kayfabe, I get it. But, like, why wouldn't they come out?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I didn't get. Like I said, if it had been at least even Gaga, it would have made a little more sense.
No, I agree. Yeah, it kind of just took away.
And it was a great match, too. That's the worst part, is that this match, before all the Gaga, and even when Rude came out and it was just Rude and it was a little bit, it wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
But once you have three people on one side trying to help one person, it just makes no sense. Like, why, this day and age, referees will throw people out.
Yeah.
Like, back then, they just, they're
here,
it's whatever. But like I said, that's the only thing I can take away from it, other than the Gaga, was that it was one-sided. It was too one-sided.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if it was more even, it would actually set up the feud between the Hart family and Shawn Michaels better.
Yeah, and I guess you want Shawn to win to take the heat again, to further the storyline to get to Bret and Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, and you're in the UK, so you can't have the Bulldog win.
Yeah,
you need that heat. I get it, but you mean to tell me that the Harts weren't watching? They didn't see any of that happen. They just said, "Oh, well, we'll just wait back here." Like, it's so unbelievable that would actually happen. That kind of hurt it. And then another interesting note: the ring announcer Carson Schaefer is actually a broadcaster for the company right now.
He is.
So, which I thought was kind of cool. When they said his name, I'm like, oh, no kidding. He actually does, one of the languages, the foreign languages for, I don't know if it's French. No, he doesn't do French, so it must be, I don't know. Either way, he does a different language for the WWE now, which is kind of cool. He's still there. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's 23 years ago. So, but, like I said, the last two matches were good matches. It's too bad they both ended the way they ended. And not that Shawn couldn't have won, but it's too bad that they kind of made us play like we were stupid, not thinking that Bret and Owen wouldn't come out if they saw something bad happening.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, overall, I thought it was a pretty good show. I mean, I thought there was a lot of good wrestling. I mean, there was a couple filler matches, especially the Tiger Ali Sting Leaf Cassidy match. But Patriot Flash Funk match. Yeah, so I'm gonna give this probably a 6.5.
6.5. He says
6.5.
He's giving it an 11. And the Russian judge says 3.
I know.
Yeah, so I mean 6.5. Yeah, 6.5. for me, it's probably about the same.
Yeah.
I agree.
Had the finishes been better the last two matches, I probably would have bumped it into the 7 range.
Definitely a 6 and a 5.
Yeah, just definitely a 6 and a 5.
But I agree. It was definitely in that range, and it seems like most of the shows we do are like that because some of that filler is just, it's just not. That kind of brings it down, and then they have stupid finishes that, again, back when you're a kid, you don't understand. Like, you're just like, oh, that was dumb. Like, oh, you beat him, or, but when you watch it back, you're like, why would they do that?
Yeah.
Well, it just doesn't even seem logical.
So, yeah, that wraps up WWF One Night Only 1997. Coming up for you guys next week, we're going to do something a little more current. We're going to go back 4 years and talk about Clash of Champions 2016. A lot of good matches on that show. You have Chris Jericho, Sami Zayn. You have Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins on top. This is after the Authority betrayed Kevin Owens.
No, they betrayed Seth Rollins.
They betrayed Seth Rollins, I'm sorry, and gave the belt to Kevin Owens. Yeah. This is back before the bar, when Sheamus and Cesaro were doing the best of 7
best
series.
of 7. That series, and I like, and again, we'll get into it on that show, but I like how they let one person win 3.
Yeah.
And they built it back that way instead of you win 1, I win 1.
Mm-hmm.
You win, so it was definitely booked different, and it was good. And again, we'll get into that next week, but like you said, it's a lot. You had Rusev and Roman Reigns.
Yep. New Day, Gallows, and Anderson on that show.
Charlotte, Bayley, and Sasha. For the first time, Bayley just came to the main roster. So, like you said, a lot of really good matches on this card.
Yeah, a lot of good matches and a lot. And it's interesting to see a lot has changed in 4 years storyline wise. I mean,
well, a lot of people aren't there anymore.
Yeah, Gallows and Anderson.
Rusev just popped up in AEW.
Yep.
Jericho was in AEW.
And
then there's some people that are still there going strong, like Kevin Owens and Roman just came back.
Yep.
Seth Rollins been doing his thing.
I think
Sami Zayn having his new angle coming back with the Intercontinental Championship. So I mean, it's definitely, and then the 3 women. I mean, Charlotte's out right now, but I mean, for the most part, they're all still there.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. So that's going to come up next week. Clash of Champions 2016. Definitely looking forward to breaking that one down. And we have a couple more. I don't know if there's anything noteworthy you want to talk about here, Roland.
No, I think that we covered what there's to cover. I don't, like I said, I still want to try to get into the Thunderdome at some point.
Yeah.
I want one of us to do that. I know they discussed that when that expires, they're going to look to try to do open air stuff, stadiums, kind of like AEW is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So the Thunderdome, I know, is only good for about another month or so. Their lease runs out with their lease, or it's going to be used for something else, so they can't. But I mean, that's one of the things. If you listen to us and you've actually done it, let us know how it's like. I mean, we just want to see what it's like. I don't really care what match it is. I just want to kind of experience it and see what it is to be able to see it through that experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, there's nothing too current that we haven't really, that needs to be covered. I don't think. There hasn't been any, really big layoffs or, anything like that.
Gerald Briscoe is the big one. He got laid off after like 30 plus years in the company.
Well, he had been furloughed originally.
He did,
but but I mean, there's really no, you have Ivar getting injured in the middle.
He's gonna be out for a long time.
Yeah, in the middle of his, they were having a pretty good push again.
Yep.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, you have Raw Underground. Braun Strowman showed up this past week. That was interesting to see. I still don't really know how I feel about Raw Underground.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's supposed to be more shoot-like, but you can still tell it's not. I mean, there are some spots that are kind of pretty snug, I would say. But I mean, they're not anywhere near actual cage fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you have Roman Reigns and the Paul Heyman connection. That's interesting to see where they're going with that.
Yep.
With Jey Uso also.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's definitely right now. It's definitely interesting. AEW have FTR, and what's going on with the Young Bucks?
Yep, Young Bucks turning heel.
Are sort of making a heel turn. They super kicked a referee. They super kicked
Alex
Marvez the week before.
Yep.
So again, it just there's nothing super big. I love the Mimosa Mayhem match. With Cassidy.
That was fun.
And Jericho. That was cool. It's cool to see people like Jericho and even people like Rollins putting younger people over, like Dominic Mysterio. Mm-hmm. And Orange Cassidy. It's cool to see that.
Yeah.
Those guys get it. They know that they need to have younger talent for the companies to go on after they're gone. So it's cool to see.
Absolutely.
Interesting note too about Murphy. Rollins turning on Murphy last Monday. Rumor has it there might be some romantic storyline
Ray's
between
daughter.
Ray's daughter.
Yeah, I saw that.
So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a few things here we talk about. Kind of put me on the spot with the.
I know. I'm sorry.
But no, I mean it's.
We don't really plan the show out too well,
as you can tell. I mean, he had to text me in the middle of the week to make sure he knew the shows we were doing.
That's true.
If we forgot to write them down. That's peek behind the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's definitely. They're coming out of the COVID era, I think, relatively well.
I think so.
I think it's picking back up. It's actually not as hard to watch
Them
anymore.
and AEW, I think.
Well, AEW, they had, the live feel more with the open stadium and stuff like so. I mean, and they were the first ones to have, family members and some of the wrestlers there, so that made it feel a little bit better. But yeah, if WWE can get out of the Thunderdome when that runs out and get some open air stuff, that'd be cool to see some fans back in there.
Yeah.
Football just started. Again, it's not wrestling related, but I'm glad to see football back.
Yeah.
They're starting to let fans in certain stadiums there too. So a lot of things happening this fall.
A lot of things going on. All right, well, that wraps things up for us for today. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Saturday at 5 with Clash of Champions 2016. Keep staying safe, everyone. Take care. Until next week, I'm Tim Kurt.
And I'm Roland Pulis.
And this is Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present.